Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joe Sangle, and your name is?
Megan Hibbard.
Megan Hibbard is.
Yes.
We are here to help you, yes, you, live your fully funded life. And we are continuing a series today on the second Monday of the year.
Yes.
And that series is what?
Yes. So it's 3 tips for a successful 2023.
That's right. And so we're working through a little series here. It's a 3-part series on a successful 2023. Our first part, if you haven't listened to it, it's episode number 235 on establishing clear goals. Today, we're going to talk about what?
Yes. So today our goal, our tip, our trick for you is to prepare a detailed budget.
Yeah.
Now, you might be saying, I've tried a budget before, didn't work. Or I don't want to do a budget, it sounds boring. Or I don't like budgets because they tell me I can't spend money. Well, stay tuned.
That's right. Because this is, bar none, the most important step you could ever take to get control of your finances. If you've got full control of your finances, a budget will help you maximize money more. But many people who are prospering, they have kind of guardrails. They don't have a really to the dollar budget. And what I tell them is, if you had a budget, you could maximize your money at another level. Some of them choose not to. That's okay. Yeah. But if you are not winning with money, and by the way, that's the majority of people, a detailed budget is the key that is going to unlock the door to you living your fully funded life. And so we're going to walk through this tip today. And the key word is to prepare what type of budget?
A detailed budget.
A detailed budget. A detailed budget. Let's talk about what detailing a budget means. What does that really mean?
Yeah. So if you look, we have a budget tool that helps you, and that tool automatically comes with lots of different categories. So maybe there's categories you haven't even thought of that you're like, oh, I forgot about that one. So detailed budget would be things that you have to pay each month.
Right.
Detailed in every dollar has a name. Every dollar has a place that it's going. It's not just out there roaming in no man's land to be spent and flown away. Exactly.
And a detailed budget is really saying that I have a limited amount of dollars that are coming to my family.
Yeah.
You do too. Now, we all have different amounts. Some people are further along in their careers, so they make more money. Some have more certifications, so they make more money. Some have more talent, so they're getting compensated more money. You know, I know it appears that I have NBA level basketball talent, but for some reason, my check keeps getting lost in the mail. And so I don't make the same amount, that Kobe Bryant made, or that LeBron James makes, or, that even the worst player in the NBA makes. But here's the deal. They make a different amount than you make, than I make, and that you make as our listener. Yeah. But listen, it doesn't negate your need and our all common need to have a detailed budget.
Yeah.
And I think a misconception all the time, Megan, is that, well, I don't make enough money, so why should I budget? Yeah. And vice versa, well, I make a lot of money, so why should I bother budgeting? So let's kind of talk about that.
Yeah, so I think we've been in coaching sessions where people make astronomical amounts of money, but they're struggling to pay the bills. And you're like, this doesn't make sense. You're making all this money. But it's because the money doesn't have a name. It's just going to nowhere land.
Yeah.
But a plan could really help with that. And I think a lot of times people have that thought of like, oh, well, if I could just make more money, then I would be able to pay for X, Y, and Z.
Well, Megan, of course, that's the solution. I need to make more money. Everybody tries to convince us, I just don't make enough money.
Right.
I've sat in coaching appointments, literally thousands of coaching appointments in my life. And in a combination of sit down formal meetings and one-on-one conversations at all these events that I do live. And many people are trying to get some excuse. They're self-soothing themselves that the reason they're not winning with money is they need to make more money. Yeah. But the fact is, for the vast majority of them, more money is not the answer. It's preparing a detailed budget. So when we say a detailed budget, let's share what that means. It means that you literally list your income. What income do you expect to receive in the upcoming month? And then you spend on paper in a spreadsheet every dollar before you actually receive it.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about, oh, I make $4,000 take home pay this month and I'm going to spend $1,000 on my house and $1,000 on other stuff and $1,000 on taxes and $1,000 on. We're talking about, to the dollar.
Yeah.
Some of us need to do it to the penny. Here's my power bill this month. It's $100.98. My car payment is $359.96.
Yeah.
Putting it in there and making your budget income minus outgo equal exactly zero. And one of the things that I think is so powerful, maybe you can explain how you and Jordan do it, but Jen and I prepare a new budget every month. Talk about how you guys do that in your household.
So we a lot of times like carry over things. So there's a lot of things that are going to stay the same. So different payments that we're making or bills or stuff like that, a lot of things stay the same. So
what does it mean to carry over?
So you're able to say like, okay, from January to February, these things are staying the same. So I can copy and paste over, or I can duplicate.
So our gasoline bill, we're not going to travel any different. So that's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you're able to look at those. And then there's other categories that maybe change. So for us, we have a lot of birthdays at the beginning of the month, beginning of the year. So our budget for that category specifically changes from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And, and so we know we're going to spend money in March, it's my birthday and Logan's birthday. So we know we're going to spend money on that. In April, it's the twins' birthday and Jordan's birthday. So, you're going to spend money on that. And so that's just like an example of like how that.
And then May,
fluctuates.
You're going to put in savings to replenish the spending accounts after all those birthdays.
Yeah.
That's 5 birthdays in 2 months.
I know. Tell me about it. We should have been better planning with that. But, so there's just different things like that there's things that are going to stay the same. So
the house payment,
your mortgage, know that's more than likely not changing. So that you can
the
keep
utilities if they're on an equal payment plan.
Yeah, it's staying the same.
If you have a car payment, which we're helping you pay off, hopefully.
Right. But there's other things that change that are more some month and less other months. So making sure you're looking ahead, which I think is really beneficial once you have your year planned out.
Right.
When you've done it for a year, you're able to look back at last year and say, oh yeah, this happened this month. So let me make sure we're making that adjustment in 2023.
I love what you're saying here because I know that I adapted to this quite a while ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago, where I stopped preparing just a budget for each month. But every time I sit down at the beginning of each month, right before the month begins, I not only update the next month's budget, but I always make sure I'm looking at 12 of the next 12 months of budgets, like individual columns. So if it's January at the end of this month here, I will be looking at February and updating February's budget, and I will have actually March, April, May, all the way through next February's budget. And I put in assumptions. Now, they're just assumptions 6 and 7 months from now. I don't really know a lot of things, but I know when birthdays are. And I know when Christmas is.
Same every year.
And I know that during the month of November and December, my family travels a lot for those holidays. So we up the gasoline. We up the restaurant spending.
Groceries.
That's right. If we're hosting, then our groceries go up. And that is something that is essential. That's why a detailed budget is so important every month, because every month is different. I have a lot of people who start out when they're preparing their budget and they say, I think I'm going to spend $4,000 on clothing this year for the whole family. And they divide it by 12 and that's $333 a month. Well, I've never spent an average amount on clothing, nor have I spent $4,000 on clothing in a year. It was a big number. Maybe I should have chose 1,000. But I'm just coming up with numbers, man. Just give me a break here, okay? But what I would just say is somebody just wrecked driving because they're like $4,000. What are they buying? So it's a family of 13, okay, not my family. But anyhow. I don't spend an average amount of money. Every month is its own month. Right. And so I put in, it's okay to save. And that's really one of the tips here. The extra credit includes savings for your known upcoming expenses. The things you know are coming, but they're not monthly. Back to school clothing is a big deal for a lot of families.
Right.
So why not save for it every month of the year so that when August rolls around, you have a little pile of money and you can go do some business.
Yeah.
Right? You can buy some clothing, right? The same thing for Christmas. You could save for Christmas every month of the year, every paycheck of the year. Yeah. And we have a known upcoming expenses calculator that's free. We'll have a link to it in the show notes to help you make sure that that budget, saving for known upcoming non-monthly expenses makes it tighter, but it makes it more detailed. And man, it is so awesome when you get, to that big expense and the money's just there. Christmas is there. Vacation is there.
Yeah. We just had Christmas. So I feel like that's a good example. So maybe you got to Christmas, you got to Black Friday, and you're like, okay, I need to spend $1,000 or I need to spend $2,000 or whatever your budget is for Christmas. And you're like, I don't know where that money's going to come from. Well, this helps alleviate that pain. So each month you're saving, you take out the amount that you want to spend. So maybe it's $1,000. So each month you're saving that out of your paycheck, which is a lot more doable than you getting to Black Friday and saying, oh no, I do not have that $1,000. It has to come from somewhere.
There you go. And it does. And most people will turn to debt.
Yeah.
They will not be able to, there's not enough to cut away in the month to accommodate all of their Christmas spending. And they don't want to tell themselves no. And they feel guilty about saying to the family, I didn't plan.
Right.
So therefore they go into debt and it becomes a death spiral for goals, really. If all goals directly and indirectly take money, then if the money is gone for the goal, there you go. And that's what debt does. It robs us of those. And so we have these tools. We have the monthly budget. We have the monthly annual budget where you can plan out every month. We have the known upcoming expenses calculator. And so I would like to just talk about, what is your favorite part of budgeting?
Yes. So my favorite part of budgeting is having the freedom to spend money in certain areas. So I like to do stuff on our house. I like to do stuff for my kids. I like to do fun things. A lot of times those kind of culminate together. But I like to be able to spend that money. So if I see something for my kids that I want to buy them, I know, okay, I have this much money in that I can go ahead and spend it. And it's like, you don't have to worry about it. I'm not wondering like, oh no, where is that money going to come from? Because I planned for it.
Yeah. And I think that's so great. Having that freedom, that word freedom is not a word that most people associate with their finances, but you just used it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, my favorite part of budgeting, it actually goes right in line with what you're saying. And that is spending money without feeling guilty about it. So I'm going to spend money. I'm a natural born spender. I'm talented. I can make money disappear. It's just a special gift I have. And I know a lot of our listeners have it, but a budget, when I realized I could spend money and it was already in the budget, and I didn't have to feel guilty about that. Yeah. Like you could put golf in the budget. You could put, going to a sporting event in the budget. You could put, spending money to go to the gas station and get an overpriced drink. It's a soda, a Coke, a Mountain Dew, a big gulp, a QT, whatever it might be. Being able to spend money without feeling guilty about it, that is such a tremendous feeling, particularly for those of us who used to struggle with money, and we struggle because our spending kept putting us into deficits. Having a budget, man, and spending that money, it's awesome. Yep. So, Megan, I would love to know, what is your take on all that we've said today?
Yes. All right. So my take on this is preparing a detailed budget that is realistic. So my takeaway is making sure your budget is realistic. So if you are a family of 5, like I am, realistic grocery bill is not $10. There's no way we're going to be able to do that. So we need to make sure that our budget is realistic in order for us to be able to stick to it. And we also need to make sure there's fun in there, because I want to be able to do fun things with my family. I want to be able to take our 3-year-old and be able to go play putt-putt if he wants to go play putt-putt, or go-karts or whatever it is. But I need to make sure that I'm planning for those things in the budget so they don't derail my finances. So having a detailed budget that is realistic.
Absolutely.
So what is the single angle?
Well, the single angle is this. A budget is the single most powerful tool I've ever implemented in my finances. I use a budget every single month. It's an essential part of my rhythm. For all of our businesses, we have a budget every single month that I sit down with our CFO and put together a budget that I always look ahead 12 singular months. Why? Because there's no more powerful way to gain financial confidence. If you want to become a financially confident person, if you want to become a consistent giver, a consistent saver, and a consistent investor, you must have a budget. If you want to maximize every dollar and make Ben Franklin behave and stick around more often, you need a budget. And so I encourage you with that. Hey, listen, as we wrap this thing up, this is part 2 of our tips for a successful 2023. Perhaps nothing would be greater than for you to take time today, download the budget tool that we have, and get a budget that is realistic, that is detailed, and planned out for the next year. Trust me, you'll be so glad you did it. Your dreams will be glad you did it, and you will begin to live your fully funded life. Yeah. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.